Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto was in Metal Gear and Harem with Olga? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Mevis Pa for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. Mama's Jaguar. Chapter 1. Cammy sat in her throne room in deep thought. Her world had been at peace now for years, and she was just getting back into her relaxing state when the stranger appeared. He was older in appearance, more than likely his late 50s. He wore camouflage pants, a black turtleneck, and some sort of harness for weapons she had never seen before. His white hair was slicked back, and he currently stood waiting to hear her response to the request he had made of her. "I'm sorry, can you repeat what you just told me, mister?" The man bowed before her before standing again and fixing his glasses. "My apologies, your ladyship. But I am simply known as the Sorrow. Perhaps I should explain some things. I was a spiritual medium, someone who can communicate with the dead, before I died. After I did die, I helped those who passed on cross over into the spiritual realm. However, I also have the ability to travel back and forth through this realm, which allows time to move back and forth as well. In the next few years, my world is going to be involved in a massive war for the freedom of everyone in the world. Although they would win, the cost for the freedom fighters is massive. Almost all but one of their heroes die, and he is not long for the world after that. What I would like is to request a soul from your realm to join us in this fight." Cammy nodded at that. She could understand, what with her own world very much facing everything he had just decided, except for their hero would live a long and happy life. That was something she was positive of after the hell she had put him through growing up. "I see. I know of one soul you could take, but he is still alive at this moment, and I refuse to do anything to him after he dies, as I put him through so much before he made it to where he is now." The Sorrow nodded his head. "I can understand that, your ladyship. But I am not asking for his soul, since our world does not use the same type of combat that yours does. What I would ask for is a copy of his soul from when he was born. I shall take that and implant it into the womb of the mother figure I have picked for him. After that, he would learn everything about combat from his instructors. That I can do. But he will still have some of his abilities. He will be fast, strong, and quite stealthy. Is that okay with you?" The Sorrow nodded as Cammy whirled her hands around a growing blue ball. After a few moments, she held the ball out to the man before her. "Here you go, my new friend. I must ask one favor in return." "Name it, your ladyship." Cammy grinned at him. "Return here after you complete what you are doing. I would like to take a copy of your powers and grant it upon my world. Such a thing, I think, could be quite fun." The Sorrow smiled and agreed before traveling across the spirit realms until he came to his own world. There, he went to a woman he had kept a close eye on and whispered in her ear that she would want another child. This one a real child between her and the father of the twins she had bore over 10 years ago. It worked as she was able to receive an artificial insemination from the man she had devoted herself to, and 9 months later, on October 11, 1983, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was her son in every way, unlike the twins who were of a donated egg and her love's DNA. This time, he was truly hers. Deciding to honor the one who gave her eggs for the birth of her first 2 sons, the woman who went by the code name Eva gave him the name of Naruto, meaning maelstrom, since that is what he would be with her, and his father's genes in him. 000000. October 22, 2006, Russia. The winter had set in early in Russia this year as the black helicopter flew through the night sky. It was a Ka-60, commonly called a Kosatka, and it belonged to a private military group. The chopper was making its way to a large facility that was hidden in the frozen lands of Russia. Slowly it lands perfectly before the cargo doors opened to let its passengers disembark. First off was an older man. He wore a long brown trench coat and looked to have stepped out of a Western movie. His gray hair was swept back and loose, while the handlebar mustache finished the look of old cowboy to most. It probably didn't help that he also wore a harness with a pair of revolvers in them. He made his way forward before turning back towards the helicopter. "Come on, kid. We haven't got all day." Following after him was a young man. He had medium-length blonde hair that he slicked back and deep piercing blue eyes. Under a black long coat, he wore a sneaking suit too that had been designed originally for his father's private military with a harness that held a pair of 1911s and 2 combat knives. It fit his use extremely well since he was trained in CQC. In fact, he was declared an expert just earlier that year by the man in front of him. "I'm coming, Ocelot," Naruto said quietly. Even though he said it quietly, Ocelot heard him clearly. "Just hurry up, will you? I haven't got all day," Ocelot told him, reiterating his earlier statement. The younger man just shook his head and followed after his comrade, his teacher, and overall his father figure. He had never known his father, since he was created with artificial insemination. That isn't to say he didn't know who his father was. After all, when your mother was Eve, you learned everything you could about the man known as Big Boss. "By the way, are you finally going to tell me what my code name is going to be?" Ocelot turned and smiled. "Your mother actually decided on it during your last mission. Didn't she tell you it yet?" Naruto just shook his head. "Since you were in South America, doing a sneaking mission to find those Metal Gear plans they had, and you stuck to your CQC for the whole thing and killed so few, she decided to call you Jaguar 3 for now. That is, until you can take on a snake moniker." Naruto, now called Jaguar, nodded. "Now why are we here again?" Ocelot just held up a finger to be quiet as 2 figures were approaching them. Both were blonde and were bundled up against the early harsh winter that had set upon their homeland. The first was a large man, easily pushing close to 250 pounds. Behind him was another, much younger, man. Naruto did a double take. The person behind the large man was actually a young woman, much closer to his age than that of the other 2 men. "Shalashaska, you brought a guest," the older man said in Russian. Ocelot nodded and turned slightly towards Naruto. "Duh, comrade. This is my new protege, not unlike your daughter. He just earned himself the codename of Jaguar on his last assignment." "Interesting. I didn't think someone so young could earn that title as freely as you make it sound. Perhaps we should test him and find out," the older man replied. Naruto gave a slight grin at that. "Perhaps you should, Colonel Gerlikovich," he said in flawless Russian. That got a grin to come to Sergei's face. "Oh, I like him. But yes, I think a test should be in order." "Olga?" The woman nodded to her father. "It would be my honor, father." The 4 quickly made it inside one of the buildings where Olga and her father led the other 2 to a gym and workout room. "Here we go. Try not to kill each other, children," Sergei told the pair as they removed their outer layers. His eyes widened upon seeing the CQC suit that Jaguar was wearing. "Shalashaska? You set this up yourself, Colonel. I told you he was my protege. Did you not think about what that would mean?" The man was instantly regretting his choice in sending his daughter, a very fearsome hand-to-hand fighter, against someone who had been trained by Ocelot in CQC. The man had been able to go toe-to-toe with Big Boss himself just by watching him fight. "Will he kill her?" Ocelot shook his head as they watched the pair get ready. It was a fearsome battle, but it ended with Naruto as the victor over Olga. It hadn't been just a fist fight, as, halfway through, Olga had produced a combat knife. It was why she currently had a light slash across her left eye and the bridge of her nose. "You fight like your name's Sake," Olga told him as he gave her a hand up. "Quick and agile, yet strong and fearless." "I'll take that as a compliment, Miss Olga. I look forward to working with you," Naruto told her. "And my friends call me Naruto." She raised a brow at hearing his name. "My mother named with a Japanese name in honor of a woman in her past." Olga nodded at that, and the pair returned to the older men. Both nodded appreciatively at the younger pair as they began to make plans for the next year. 000000. August 8, 2007, New York. Naruto had come far in the past year with the Gerlikovich mercenaries. He had impressed everyone with his CQC so much that he had been asked numerous times to teach it. He told them all that, as honored that he was to be asked, it would take many years of practice to come close to his level. Only one had asked him more than once, and she had been the only one worthy enough to be taught. His relationship with Olga had been a surprise. When Ocelot had brought him with that first time, he had expected the pair to react like oil and water. Instead, they were in sync with each other in a way that rivaled that of Sniper Wolf and her pets. While Naruto had taught her CQC, she had brushed up on his larger weapon abilities. He was now qualified at a marksman level on the Mosin Nagant IV, which he used the less popular Cossack design. It was much like the original Mosin Nagant, but had been modified to remove the bayonet. For someone like Naruto, who could drop his rifle and switch to his M1911A1 and CQC, his skill with the Cossack had even led to him earning the name of Kurunzi. He would later find out it was the Cossack rank for that of a lieutenant in the army. When he had found that out, Olga nodded and told him that the troops had accepted him and were giving him that rank with the title. Of course, Naruto taught Olga as well. He mostly taught her CQC, but at times they would go over hand guns. It was here that he discovered that, just like Ocelot and his father before them, he had to help her find the right gun for her to use. Originally, she had been using a Makarov like her father. However, she was inconsistent with her aim using it. Naruto remarked that it was due to her already preparing for the recoil and lifting the muzzle. They solved this by switching her over to the German-made USP-9 with a light attachment. It solved her muzzle lift, and she was consistent from then on. So it was that Naruto was currently in a Ka-60 just above the Hudson River with Olga and the other mercenaries as they prepared to board the USS Discovery. Their objective: locate and capture the Marine Corps Metal Gear prototype. They were the second wave, tasked with taking control of the bridge and engine rooms. Olga would take the bridge while Naruto went below deck and took over the engine room. Ready? He asked her. Always, she responded. Naruto was slightly worried about this mission because he had been given slightly more information from both his mother and Ocelot. They had leaked out this information about the new Metal Gear to Philanthropy, an anti-Metal Gear organization. The organization that Solid Snake belonged to. His older brother, Naruto, and his team made their way to the engine rooms and found them to be completely abandoned. He left his team there to go back and report to Olga. Olga, engine room secure. He told her over their radios. Roger, bridge secure, she responded. Report back. Naruto slowly made his way through the interior of the ship until he came out on the heliport. There, he was met with a sight. Olga was slumped against the railing, several darts in her torso. And, brother! He called out. 0000000. Solid Snake had not been having a good day. Already he had found out that this group of Russians were here for Metal Gear like he was. They had boarded the ship and taken over within the span of a few minutes. Then, to make matters worse, this woman had got the drop on him with her trick knife. On top of all that, things were getting confusing what with the cipher drone that he had spotted after taking down the woman. Don't raise too much racket with that thing. Otacon told him. I hear you. Snake replied as he signed off. He didn't hear one of the hatches open up at that point, but he did hear the voice. Brother! Snake spun on the spot and saw a young man, younger than he was at least, with slicked back blonde hair and a dark overcoat walking towards him. Unlike the other Russians, this guy wasn't wearing combat fatigues. Identify yourself. He shouted as he leveled his new USP-9 at the newcomer. The blonde gave him a mock frown. I'm upset you don't recognize me, brother. Or should I call you father since you are just his clone after all? How do? Snake asked him. Well, you see, you had to come into the world somehow. Even if you started in a tube, you are still human. However, unlike you, I am actually of mother's flesh and blood too, not like that Japanese whore who donated her eggs for you and liquid. He waited a moment to see the shock on Snake's face. You didn't know? It's been 2 years since you found out, and you don't know. Don't know what? Snake demanded. The blonde just laughed lightly as he walked towards Olga. Such a shame. Perhaps you will never know then. He knelt next to her before brushing out some of the darts. But that shall be for later. After all, I can't keep telling you everything. It would ruin the surprise. Surprise? Neither here nor there. The blonde said as he stood. But you asked for my name. I have 3. You don't deserve to know my real name since you know nothing of mother. However, I am the legacy of Big Boss himself. His only true son. The Russians call me Kurunzi, but you may call me Jaguar. Snake shook his head. Jaguar? True son? Jaguar turned and looked at his older brother. Yes, 10 years after you were born I was. Mother raised me and trained me to be father's true legacy. Nothing in me was changed. I am a true child from Big Boss. Well then, Jaguar, who is our mother? The blonde just chuckled. I don't think you get to learn that from me. I think you should have to find that out on your own. He then raised a brow at the older man. However, I think we should test something out. He held his left hand up in a sign of peace as he reached into his coat and pulled out a single pistol. Jaguar cleared the magazine before placing the now unloaded gun on a storage container. I'll even add in an incentive if you agree to leave behind the USP-9 I gave Miss Olga. He took 2 steps back so as to not seem like he was going to attack Snake. Snake stepped forward and saw that Jaguar had placed a single pistol down. It was a matte black M1911. He picked up the pistol and saw that it had a few modifications done to it. M1911, .45 caliber, raised profile sights and smoothed down grip. Custom trigger assembly? Of course. It's a 1/4 pound lighter on the pull. I'll even throw in 2 magazines of ammo, just in case. Snake nodded as he set the USP down aside his new gun. Alright, I agree to hear you out. It's simple, really. All my life, I've been raised in your shadow by everyone that isn't mother. I would like to see which of us is better in 2 scenarios. We can either be enemies and fight each other as men that caused a smirk to come to the blonde. Or, we can attempt a match of stealth. The choice is yours. Snake looked the younger man up and down before flexing his right arm. Olga had gotten a lucky shot off once that had caught him with a graze. His suit had cut off the bleeding already, but it still stung slightly. A fight or sneak around each other? I think I'm more comfortable with the fighting you since you are working with the Russians. Jaguar just gave him a predatory grin and began to remove his coat. Very well then, Snake. Let us see. Karunzi, do you read me? A stiff Russian voice came over his radio. Jaguar rolled his eyes as he reached back and brought out his radio. Comrade Colonel, where are you at the moment? Helipad, awaiting Olga's return, then we depart. Good, I was worried she was going to do something drastic. The Russian told him. Jaguar looked over at Snake. Well, she didn't take it very well, but I think I got her to calm down. She does not understand Rasklad 5. There was a slight pause. Listen, Karunzi. Please help her find her way. She needs you, more than she realizes. Jaguar nodded at that. Don't worry, .6 we will see you in Mother Russia. There was a pause. Raise my grandchild right, Jaguar. Raise him like you would have wanted your father to raise you. The blonde looked over at Snake and sneered. Comrade. We leave soon. Good luck. Tell Shalashaska good luck as well from me. The radio went quiet as Jaguar placed it back onto his back. I guess this will have to wait then, brother. Shalashaska? Snake asked. That caused the blonde to grin. Ah, yes, Shalashaska. An old friend of both mother and father. Well, more of a friendly rival for father. He also taught me most of what I know, and to top off all of that, I hear that you two know each other. Such a reunion, don't you think? Snake raised a brow at that as Jaguar refastened his overcoat and grabbed the USP-9. Not going to fight? Jaguar shook his head as he walked away from Snake towards Olga. No, I have to get Miss Olga out of here like her father wants. You can have the 1911. Snake watched as he picked up the blonde woman from the ground bird owl style. Why the Russians, though? You're obviously American. The younger man just shrugged. For starters, why not? On top of all that, Miss Olga is there, so I refuse to go anywhere else. Why though? You can come help me with all these metal gears. Jaguar paused and turned towards his brother. Help you? Someone who killed our own brother? No, I'd rather stay where I am wanted than with a kinslayer. He procked to walk away before he stopped. I will tell you this, though. Everything you think you know about the United States not exactly true. Snake was startled by that remark. Huh, you'll find out, brother. He said as a closing remark as he turned the corner and left. Snake quickly grabbed the 1911 pistol and the spare clip before finding some place to hide and hitting his Kodak. Otakon. What is it, Snake? I just met another brother. Otakon let out a gasp. Not another liquid. No, this one called himself the true son of Big Boss. By the way he was talking about Liquid and myself, I have to think he actually is a biological son. Interesting. As you know, we could never find anything about Big Boss' personal life. It might be possible. Snake heard some typing. Yeah, we got nothing on a wife, mistress, or even a real name, Snake grunted. That's not all though. He mentioned his mother was the one to carry both Liquid and myself as well. Not our actual biological mother but surrogate, I guess. I'll look into it, Snake. You at least get a name off of him? Just code names. He goes by Jaguar but the Russians call him Karanzoy. Otakon typed in a few things. Karunzi, Snake? That's it. Karunzi is actually a rank among Cossacks. It translates to lieutenant. A Cossack? In a Red Army remnant? Otakon breathed out. More than likely, no. The Cossacks fought against the Soviet Union at multiple times, the most prominent being World War II. After the end of the war, any Cossack who had fled to England had been forcefully returned to the USSR. Stalin killed a vast majority of them in an event that is widely regarded as the betrayal of the Cossacks. I remember the story. They were told they were being moved to Poland, loaded onto trains and ended up back in Soviet hands. So why would Gerlikovich allow one in? More than likely? He was given the title because he was an outsider that earned their respect. Only a guess. It's better than mine. Jaguar also brought up another name. See if you can run it down. Shalashaska? On it. Keep your head down, Snake. Another family member of yours always spells trouble. No promises. The elder man signed off. October 10th, 2008. Naruto was standing on the deck of an old oil rig that had been transformed over for a living space for his new unit. Not that he wanted to be in this unit at all, but he didn't have much of a choice. He sighed as he thought back to Olga. She was away on a separate mission from their new employer. Even thinking it almost made the blonde want to puke. After Sergei Gerlikovich died during the tanker incident, as it had become known, Olga took over running the unit with Naruto as her number 2. As the months passed, Olga had become more irritated that she couldn't do more due to her pregnancy. Finally, 7 months ago, she gave birth to a beautiful blonde hair and blue-eyed daughter. At the time, everything had looked great. However, it took a horrible turn at that moment as well. A nurse took the girl out of the room to get her cleaned up, weighed and measured. That was the last time anyone had seen Olga's daughter. Not even 10 minutes later, Ocelot showed up and shocked both Olga and Naruto, who had been in the room at the time. Ocelot worked for a shadowy group known only as the Patriots. They had taken the girl as a precaution and as leverage to get the pair to work with them. Olga was given an envelope and Ocelot pulled Naruto out of the room to meet his new commanding officer. It was at that moment that Naruto joined the US Navy. Luckily, it wasn't a normal job. He became a member of the secret anti-terrorist squad known as Dead Cell. He was the group's expert on covert infiltration and small arms. He met his new commander, Commander Jackson. Jackson was a nice enough man. He had been read into Naruto's file enough to learn that Naruto was not here for anything else other than blackmail. As such, he had allowed Naruto a lot more freedom than he offered to any other member of the group. That is, until he had been removed from his position on charges of corruption, no doubt arranged by the Patriots themselves. The team was eclectic to say the least. There was Fatman, the explosive genius who built a nuclear bomb as a child. He and Naruto did not get along on the principal ideas behind the two soldiers. Sneaking around undetected and blowing crap up were polar opposites. Old Boy was a former member of the German army in World War II and a legend in the military circles. At over 100 years old, he still fought enough to give even Naruto some pointers on how to use his weapons, since he saw them both in World War II. Chinaman and Naruto were respectful of each other, but that was as far as it got between the two. Neither wanted to test the other, although everyone else wanted to see it, as they were comfortable in knowing that Chinaman was the team's expert on CQB while Naruto was the sneaking expert with knowledge of CQC under his belt. Really, the only member of the team that Naruto got along with was Vamp. The Romanian was a comforting presence to have around sometimes, as he had a richness to his voice that enabled Naruto to relax sometimes when he got too agitated with the Patriots, or the other members of the team. Vamp had even tried to make a move on the blonde, but Naruto declined and said he was quite comfortable with the relationship the pair already had and wasn't looking for anything more. King, he heard Vamp's voice from behind. Ever since he had arrived, Vamp referred to him as King. He took it to meaning boss, but the man couldn't know of Naruto's link to Big Boss, could he? King? Yeah, Vamp? We got a mission, it is going to require all of us. Vamp told him. Queen is waiting for us. Naruto nodded as he turned his back to the setting sun. The pair remained quiet as they walked the halls of the tanker, until they made their way to the briefing room. Standing at the head of the table was the newest member of the team, and their respected leader. Helena Dolph Jackson aka Fortune, daughter of Scott Dolph, the head of the Marine Corps Division on the USS Douglas and wife of Commander Jackson. She looked over at the two men she counted on the most in this squad and nodded at them. We have an assignment directly from the President this time. We are to stage an attack on Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. An attack on a base in an active war zone? Naruto asked. That makes no sense. Fortune just looked at him. Look, Jaguar, we don't have the liberty of turning this one down. It's a direct order from the President himself. We leave in 3 hours. The rest of the group nodded as they went to gather their equipment. Naruto and Vamp remained behind. I don't like this any more than you two probably do. Something isn't right about this at all. King is right. I smell a rat. Vamp explained. Naruto nodded his agreement. What's travel look like? C-130 out of Pennington. Is Raleigh markings. On approach, Jaguar is to drop in and begin infiltration. Naruto just shook his head. A low-altitude drop into an active base on full alert? I need to go and check on my will. Vamp nodded at him. This isn't a drill. It's a trap. Both of the blondes looked at him with solemn faces. Maybe we are reading too much into this? Fortune asked the other two. After all, they need us. 000000. April 15, 2009. It turned out that the US didn't need them after all. It had been a trap designed to liquidate the entire team. A bomb had been placed on the C-130 in one of the engines. On final approach, just as Naruto had been getting ready to drop in, it went off and the entire plane fell out of the sky. Luckily, only Chinaman and Old Boy had died. Fatman had received some burns to his face and body. Vamp, somehow, had survived with a metal rod in his waist. Naruto had been thrown clear through the door to the plane while Fortune walked away with minor cosmetic injuries. He had been left with a trio of slash marks on each cheek. Since then, the four had not received any new missions for counterterrorism. They were blacklisted. They spent their time swearing revenge against the President, and those that ordered their mission to Afghanistan. Naruto had spent most of that time trying to find anything he could about the Patriots. What little he knew didn't look good. They had, apparently, been controlling everything throughout the US for decades. It was the organization that had been responsible for the Les Enfants project that gave the world Solid and Liquid. It was also the organization that had brought him into Dead Cell and the organization initially responsible for the kidnapping of Olga's daughter. He was going to punch Ocelot the next time he saw the old man. Naruto was where he could normally be found now, standing on the edge of the oil rig and watching the horizon. Something troubling you, boy? An elderly voice said from behind him. The blonde turned to see an elder man in a business suit behind him. Not at all, Mr. President. Naruto told him. Please, I'm no more the president than you are. Just call me by my code name. I see, then do you prefer Solidus or perhaps Big Boss? Solidus Snake chuckled. Just boss for now, at least until this is over with little brother. Naruto frowned at that. You know, that you are the true son of Big Boss? Not a clone but an actual son. Yes, I know. A cat told me. Solidus turned to look over his shoulder to show another elderly man approaching. Hey kid, been a while. Almost 2 years now. Ocelot smirked. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Permission to speak freely, boss? Solidus nodded, and before either men could react, Naruto had one of his 1911 Colts in his hand and pointed directly at Ocelot's right eye. Give me one good reason I shouldn't put a bullet in your brain right now. Ocelot nodded. Truth was, he wasn't surprised at Naruto's reaction to him at all. I trained you in everything you know? Nope, not good enough. I can draw and shoot you faster than you can pull the trigger. Naruto smirked. I've been working with Vamp and Old Boy. I'm faster than you remember me being. He pulled back on the hammer of the gun. Strike 2. Ocelot knew he had one card left to play, but he didn't want to piss off Naruto even more than he already had. The Patriots still monitor my nanomachines. Naruto grimaced as if in pain. Yeah, that made you back off, didn't it? Remember the deal? Naruto slowly lowered his gun. I work for Dead Cell, Olga does her mission and her daughter remains safe. Ocelot nodded. He reached inside his coat and removed a photograph. She's fine, by the way. Here is your biannual photo. Naruto received the photo and smiled for the first time in some days. She was adorable. Her blonde hair had been pulled back in a ponytail, wearing a lavender sundress and white leggings. It was the first time he had seen her since the trap, as all of his other photos were destroyed in the bombing. Cute kid, very curious about the world. We have her under an all-female guard company right now, but you never know when something wrong could happen. Naruto caught the threat hidden by the messenger. If they wanted to, that all-female guard company could be switched and some pedophile could end up watching her. Before we are done, I will kill you, Naruto told him as he walked away. Soidus turned to his number 2. What the hell was that about? Need I remind you that he knows everything that you do? One of the side effects you gave me with my mission. He will kill me, and it will be a glorious battle when it happens. Ocelot replied as he walked away. Solidus watched the elder man leave before following after his younger brother. Jaguar, what was that about? 2 years ago, Miss Olga gave birth to a daughter. Shortly after the nurse took her away, Ocelot came in, told us he was working for the Patriots, and that if we ever wanted to see her again we would be working for him. It's the whole reason I'm here when I could be working with the Gerlikovich soldiers once again. He explained. A slight smile came over the former president's face at that. The Gerlikovich, you say? Guess you got your wish, kid. Now, what to do about Ocelot? Together, the two brothers stayed up most of the night, plotting against the Patriots, and most of all, the double-crosser known as Ocelot. 00000. April 29, 2009. Naruto smiled from his position behind the president. Somehow, he had been able to sneak himself into the Secret Service detail for President Johnson. He thought back to just over 2 weeks ago, when the Gerlikovich mercenaries saw him waiting for them alongside Solidus. Instantly, they all saluted their Karunzi, as did Olga. Once the regular soldiers were dismissed, and Solidus left them to themselves, Olga was in tears of combined sadness and joy at seeing her old partner again. She told him of her mission, and what it might require of her to do, and Naruto just nodded and told her he would help with whatever he could. After all, the two were partners, lovers, and parents. He had always had a feeling, especially since Olga had been with no other man that he knew of besides himself, and the times lined up right, but Olga just confirmed it for him. Solidus would find them together that week, and the small family unit began planning on what to do about Ocelot, and this snake that was to appear during their attack. To the outside world, Naruto's part of the operation was to capture President Johnson and take him to the holding cell in the central strut of Shell A. Olga was in charge of all the mercenaries with Naruto her number 2. Their actual plan was to get as much information from Ocelot and this new snake as possible before finding a way to fool the Patriots with Ocelot's nanomachine data. A smile appeared on the blonde's face as he saw the helicopter approaching. Time to go to work, he said to no one but himself, as the Sons of Liberty were now in charge. 00000. Less than 6 hours ago, they had finished taking over the entire facility. Naruto was, currently, watching the only way he could think of to sneak into the facility unnoticed in the security room, a diving pool in the base of Strut A. He had smiled slightly when he saw his brother make his way through, but then movement caught his attention. Another person was in a sneaking suit. Unlike his own, or Solid Snake's suit, this was a skull suit, more fitted for divers and for hazardous environments. He watched on as the new player made his way to the elevator, and then almost laughed when the man shocked himself on the node. He's a rookie. Great. Have to make sure a rookie makes it through this thing to the very end while maintaining my cover? We need to trace those nanomachine signals fast, Olga said from behind him as she made her way to see the monitor. Naruto nodded. Is your cover ready? Just got it. Can't wait to test it against you. She smirked. Seriously though, how can you guys wear these things? She ran her hand over his shoulder. They are so tight. Don't you feel trapped? Not at all, with my own at least. It constricts my muscles, making me stronger, improves my reaction speed, and makes less noise than a uniform. That enticed a smirk and a light laugh from the Russian. You realize that it is somewhat of a uniform among you stealth types. Big boss, Snake, you and now this guy? You've all worn types of these suits. Naruto chuckled at that with her. I need to go. Vamp should be done with getting the football by now. Besides, I think a family reunion is in order. That got a surprised look out of Olga. He's here? Alive? Naruto nodded. Remember, we need him. No killing him just yet. 000000. Raiden, strange code name. Pliskin told the now named Raiden. The blonde turned slightly to look back at the seated seal. Makes up for the boring one my parents gave me. Mob, I'll find out someday. Pliskin replied with a farewell salute to Raiden's back. The man remained seated for some time before he heard some footsteps on metal grating. Iroquois Pliskin? Where did you come up with that? The seal looked around and didn't see anything. It's my name. Know it, isn't David? The voice turned familiar as Jaguar appeared from around a corner. Instantly, Solid Snake was on his feet. Jaguar. What are you doing here? The blonde laughed at him. I'm a member of Dead Cell, remember? He slowly came around the corner, and Snake could see the 6 scar marks left on his cheeks. I should just kill you on principle, but I'll let you defend yourself first. Snake readied his M4. What principle? That I killed Liquid? That brought out a dry laugh. God, no! He needed to die. His idea of what father's dream was so out of context it was ridiculous. No, I should kill you for killing Sergei. Snake lifted his head from the sights. Colonel Gerlikovich? Why? I thought you were with Dead Cell now. I am, and it is because of you that I am. If you hadn't had killed the colonel, Miss Olga would have had her baby in Russia, with the soldiers protecting her. Now Miss Olga's daughter is being held by the Patriots, and I'm being blackmailed into Dead Cell to get her back. He was pissed at Snake and was starting to lose control of his emotions. Snake lowered the gun. I didn't kill Gerlikovich or Commander Dolph. Ocelot shot through Dolph and killed the Russian. Naruto stopped in his tracks at that. What? Why? He said he was taking the Metal Gear Ray back for the Patriots. That stopped all forms of hostility towards Snake from the younger blonde. So, he kills both commanding officers, steals the prototype, blames it on you, takes Olga's daughter, blackmails both of us to help him, and it's all for the Patriots? Snake looked at him in curiosity. He told you about them? A little. Most of what I know about them I learned from Mother. The Patriots were started after Big Boss finished Snake Eater. I haven't figured out who they are, but they run the U.S. Everything, from Wall Street and Hollywood all the way to who is the president, it's all them, the shadow government. I've been trying to find out anything about them, but we've come up empty. Naruto nodded. Same here. I do know that this facility is one of theirs, and I also know more about what is going on here. He looked over at Snake. It's a recreation of Shadow Moses. Dead Cell is Foxhound, Raiden is you, the Russians are the Genome soldiers, and Olga is Fox. That caught Snake by surprise. The DARPA chief and President Baker? A Secret Service agent and President Johnson. Naruto told him. Snake leaned against the wall. What about Metal Gear? I assume it's Ray? Naruto shook his head and pointed at the floor. Underneath us is Arsenal Gear. It's an aircraft carrier/submarine/Metal Gear. It also holds the AI in charge of the whole thing. An AI organized all of this? Naruto nodded. What about you? What's your role? Naruto shrugged. Ophically, I'm sort of like a combination of Ocelot and Sniper Wolf. Fortune is Raven and Vamp is his own sort of monster. And Fatman? Naruto gave him a confusing look. A loose end. The guy lost it after they set us up and Chinaman died. Snake nodded. So what now? We play our parts while you get to be a wild card. Help Raiden out, make sure he survives and gets to the end game. Once there, Snake, Olga and I have a plan. It's just making sure the rookie gets there that might be a problem. That caught Solid Snake by surprise. Snake? The one calling himself me? Naruto grinned. Oh, I won't say anything else about that. It should be fun to see your reaction. Never mind the kid. Liquid? Naruto laughed. No, he's dead. You put him at the wreck years ago. No, someone else. He started to walk away. Stay alive, Snake. The world needs you still. Snake watched him walk away before hitting his codec. Oda-kun? I'm here, Snake. What's up? Snake gave off a smile. I just ran into an old friend. Jaguar is here. Jaguar? Oh, right, your brother. The one who was working with the Russians. So it's the Gerlikovich mercenaries again? Yeah, and I've got something else on the Patriots. And what is going on here? It's a rehash of Shadow Moses for a new guy in Foxhound. Goes by Raiden. Just a kid, seen less combat than you have. Well, I did survive Shadow Moses. Okay, I'll look into him and see what I can find. What about the Patriots? You were right. They are the shadow government. According to Jaguar, they control everything from popular culture to economics and politics. Be careful, Snake. I know we had started planning for this, but you are a wild card in all this. They might order one of their agents to kill you. Any idea who works for them? Snake grunted. Ocelot is the shot caller. He blackmailed Olga Gerlikovich and Jaguar into their roles here. Raiden might be taking orders from them as well, since he had no briefing coming in here like I did in Shadow Moses. He looked at his watch. Alright, I got to get moving. Where are you, Strut B? There are some soldiers wandering around, but I'm just keeping quiet. Snake nodded. Got it. Keep your head low and ears open. They might give away Emma's position to you as well. That was my thinking too. Stay safe, Snake. Both men cut the connection at the same time. Snake got and began to keep to the shadows and in his Pliskin persona. As he did, his codec beeped. This is Pliskin. It's Raiden. I just saw a woman annihilate Bravo team. They kept shooting at her, and the bullets just missed. That was Fortune. She is said to be Lady Luck and is also the de facto leader of Dead Cell. Wields a rail gun that can put a hole in a full-blown ship. Dead Cell, huh? What else can you tell me about them? Fortune runs it. Her number 2 is Vamp, you've met him. Then there is Fatman, the master of explosives. Rumor has it he built the nuclear bomb at the age of 12. Then there is Jaguar. He wasn't sure how much he should say about his brother if the Patriots were listening. Jaguar? He has an animal code name? Yeah, for good reason. The guy is a solo mission expert. Specializes in CQC and pistols. Be careful with him, as he also specializes in solo infiltration, meaning you might not see him coming when he engages you. Anything else? Yeah, Snake grinned. They are not exactly sane, remember that. Thanks for watching this video. You really enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow Mevis Pa for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.